Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Mind Heist podcast with Aisa. Assalamu alaikum, Aisa.
Salam.
And the biggest Qur'anly fan in the world, Muhammad. Thanks for joining us, Aisa. How's it going?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, bro, not bad. Just good thing that we've got sorted now. The funny thing is that I know both of you before all of this, right? Like I've actually followed your stuff. Like our brother, who I refer to as Aki Tweet, I remember when he used to make the t-shirts, right, on Twitter, and I used to look at them and I'd be like, man, he's got such a unique angle that no one's doing. You know, people used to wear these masks, and it would be like,
yeah.
pure XI, right? Pure
Yeah.
XI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. And also your stuff, bro, because I advertise, right? I know Muhammad Ashur was really close to me, and he'd upload your videos, and then I saw some of your stuff on YouTube, Surah Masters and stuff. So I knew you guys before you guys knew me through Qurani. Yeah, this is mashallah quite interesting. But yeah, keep up the great work, mashallah. And both of you have something so unique that you bring to the table, and I accept it. Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. I don't know when. I mean, Muhammad mentioned you very regularly over the last years, so I've heard of you definitely. And yeah, bro, I just realized, man, look at that up there. I've forgotten to remove that. That's my monitor stand. Okay. Okay, cool. So I guess Asa, you're like the behind the camera guy a lot of the time, right? Although you are in some of the video ads here and there. So what was your route into, like I said, I know you as the Aira ads guy, but what was your route into that in the first place?
Yeah, okay, so my journey, how my journey started was it was alhamdulillah, I had the blessings of always being kind of in the practicing environment as I grew up, alhamdulillah, because of my parents. But obviously you go in and out. But obviously one thing that I always did was pray salah. Like I never left my salah. Alhamdulillah, from when I was like 7, 8, I used to pray, alhamdulillah, and you go in and out, through your journey, and I always had that environment around me. And then it was when I was in uni, I finally, I was like, you know what, I really need to get back into the deen and practicing, and I just bought a flip camera. I don't know if you guys remember the flip cameras. They used to be huge. It would just be like a black thing, right? And you press the record button, and it's like a black thing. They used to be called flip. So I got that, and I went with Dr. Uthman Latif in Slough, and I used to film reminders with him, and I used to upload them on YouTube. I started my YouTube channel. It was called Steps to Paradise. It's probably still there. And I used to film it, and I used to go to events and speakers and try and get to them, right? I even remember Hamza Zoltzi, who's such a close friend, mentor of mine. But the first time I approached him, and I was like, bro, can I film some videos with you? He's like, yeah, sure, here's my card. People used to give out their business cards back then, right? I don't know who does that anymore. But so that's kind of how my journey started until I volunteered for Al-Maghrib, right, Institute. And Muhammad Arshadi used to be the Amir of this London Al-Maghrib, and I volunteered for him actually in Islam Channel's Global Peace and Unity event. Because I think a great way to get in when you start practicing is just to volunteer for a lot of Islamic events. It really gets you into that environment, and I think environment is so important when you want to get close to Islam and start practicing, right? So I did Islam Channel, and he was a volunteer coordinator there, and he said, listen guys, why don't you come to Al-Maghrib as well? And so me and my friend went, and then we did other stuff from there until one day I was at Kamal Makki's dawah training course, which is, to be honest, I think it's one of the best courses in the world, right? If you do it and you implement it, inshallah, you start getting shahadas. And he said to me, so why don't you come to IRA, right? Why don't you come and volunteer? And so I came to IRA and I started volunteering, and that's how my journey began. And then I left. I worked in Qatar for a year, and then I came back. I worked for Islamic Network, another organization, and then IRA hired me, right? And then my journey started in IRA, and that's kind of what led into the journey of Qurani in the beginning.
MashaAllah. Wait, so you Islamic Network, that's Sheikh Abu Abd Salam's thing, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Bro, that's one of the best initiatives. Like it always stands out for me because of how grassroots it is and how it's like going straight to the youth. And I attended one of the events, the ones they do, what's it called? Night Mania?
Night Mania,
yeah. So I attended one of those. And I was probably too old for it, but anyway, I noticed that there were, what I would consider normal average Muslims there, you know, people that maybe they don't go masjid that much. And when I saw that, I was like, this is good, you know, this is a good environment. This is going to get people into the masjid and stuff. So that's really good. I never knew you were involved with that.
Yeah,
Mashallah.
and I worked there for a year and a half, alhamdulillah, and then I, I've been volunteering for IRA for like 10 years now, alhamdulillah. But I became staff about like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Did you go to uni, Asa?
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I went to Westminster,
What did you study?
computer science.
Oh, okay. So did you use that with
Alhamdulillah.
Qurani at all? Or?
Algorithms,
No,
maybe.
no, nothing. I am one of those people who hated coding. Like I could not wait for it to finish. And actually, in computer science, there ain't that much coding. Like especially, it's more theory. I mean, it varies from uni to uni, but it was
Yeah.
more theory. So I never wanted to go into it, right? So I came out and it was separate. But when I joined the IRA and I started doing the dawah missions and work and stuff like that, that kind of led me on the journey where it made me question, okay, how much Quran is in my life, you know? Because the Quran is not something like Salah where you have to pray Salah every day. No, there is no like major sin on you if you don't read Quran every day at all, right? So it's something that's so deep, like for Muslims, is that if you're not reading it, you have to ask yourself, you know, what am I doing? And when I was at these missions and taking shahadas and stuff, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what on earth am I doing, right? And it was the attempts that I would try and read it, I'd stop. And, you know, I even remember in school, right? My Jahil friends used to say to me, you know, I'd be like, you know, what are you going to do in the summer holidays? And they would say, I'm going to try and read the Quran, like at least, you know, and these guys would not even practice, right? Some of them, right? But that's a thing that all Muslims have in the back of their head. Man, I haven't read Quran for ages. Let me read some Quran. Oh, I'm going through a really hard time in my life. Let me read some Quran. So it's always there. But I was like, look, I need to make this stick, or like, this is just ridiculous. Like, I can't keep living, doing all of this amazing work, alhamdulillah, and not reading the Quran for myself. That's how the journey started.
Do you
Mashallah.
think there was like a gap there? Because I always get the sense that people either read a lot or don't read at all. And if they can't read a lot, then they don't bother reading because they think, well, if I have to read a whole page or a whole chapter, and if I don't, then...
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, there's this phenomenon where people would rather not read than read a little bit. It's crazy. It's so bizarre. But people would rather not read at all, right? Because they're like, no, I want to do it properly, right? Then read a little bit. But they don't understand. You know, they say that the stuff of atomic habits and improve yourself 1% every day, the stuff that these non-Muslims, you know, but there's a lot of benefit in it. There's a lot of wisdom in this kind of stuff that you can use for your own deen as well. And yeah, that's the thing. So Quran tries to break that. There's a lot of brothers, you know, mashallah, that they read Quran, which is good, and it helps them. But they will read Quran juz after juz, mushaf after mushaf, right? But they're not going to understand anything, right? And they're fine with that. They're like, you know what? It's okay. They don't understand Arabic. They're not native Arabic speakers. And they'll read every day. And alhamdulillah, they will get reward. It's a shifa for them, of course. But when Allah is telling you certain things in the Quran, you have no idea what's being said, you know? Allah's saying, what if the water just went through the ground? How would you bring it back up? To make you think, right? You just don't know. You're just reading it through and through. You're like, okay, next page, right? But Allah's telling you that, you know, what if the water I sent down from the sky was bitter, right? And you think, man, if I drank water, right? Like, just imagine I drink, and I remember I just read that verse yesterday where Allah says, what if it was bitter? Imagine I couldn't swallow and I just spat it out. So these things in your life, Quran coming into your life, it's not going to happen if you're not understanding it. So that is one of the reasons initially you couldn't turn off the translation on Quran. There was no option. You cannot remove the translation. And I did that by purpose. And then some people were like, oh, bro, come on, I understand Arabic. And so I said, okay, then I'm going to hide it there. You know, you can turn
If you
it off.
dig into the settings.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's there. But a big reason, a purpose of Quran is to make you read regularly and make you understand what you're reading. This is very important for people.
Well, before we go fully into Quran, tell for those that don't know what it is, tell us what it is, Asa.
Yeah, give us the elevator.
Yeah, okay, inshallah. So basically, Qurani is a habit-building Quran app, okay, which basically builds a habit of Quran reading, starting from 1 verse a day, or 3 verses a day, 5 verses a day, or 10 verses a day, right? And you can basically build it. You can choose any of these options. You choose the option first, then you choose the time you want to read. It'll remind you in those times. It'll give you a warning reminder in case you didn't read. And it gives you these to encourage you to read. And now the format that we have, a lot of people see and they're like, whoa, 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 what's this? I want the mishap, I want the whole page, right? But our format is Arabic and English, right? And it's one verse at a time. You will be shocked at how much more Quran you end up reading because of that format. Because, you know, you can read it in between meetings, you can read it on the train, the bus. You never open a page and say, you know what, I can't read a page and spend 4 or 5 minutes on this because I'm going to stop in 2 minutes. On Quran, you can go and you can read, and it just builds a habit, right? So everything on the app is optimized to make you read Quran as much as possible. So yeah, you can download it on Android or iPhone. And there's the 7-day free trial. You can try it out. If anybody can't afford it, you can email us. We give it free to you. We don't want there to be any barriers between someone reading Qurani and using it and saying, oh, you know what, I don't have money, I can't afford this, I'm not going to get Qurani. So yeah, that's what it is in a nutshell.
You know what it reminded me of, Asa, when I saw it is there's some sort of kind of a mini app or whatever, which is on the web, where you can like plug a URL of an article into it, and then it will kind of read the article back to you, but one word at a time. Yeah, like not even one sentence, one word, and it in theory it makes you read very quickly because like showing one word at a time. I never really like got fully into that, but that's what it made me think of in terms of just you know, instead of one word, you're putting one verse, right, one ayah at a time, and it's like very, like you're saying, unintimidating.
For me, it's the sort of extra features that you've got on that really hooked me. So I'm just looking at it now. You've got obviously the pages you've read, the time you've read, like all time. You can like look at that, how many verses you read. But ultimately, the standout one is the hasanat counter, which I look at, it just blows me away, really. What sort of went into your thinking when you were thinking of these extra sort of statistics?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, there's a really interesting concept, right? And hopefully people can benefit from this stuff on the podcast, is that they say that, you know, when you write things down, it's so important because so many more ideas will come to your mind. And that's why Allah speaks about the pen so many times, right? You know, when you write things down, and they say even with videos and stuff, you should write a script because then you can see what's there, and you know you can restructure things out. There's a famous book called In the Heart of the Sea. It's about, you know, so a lot of people used to go whale hunting in the 1800s, and there was once that they went and this whale literally destroyed their whole boat. Right? It was a freak. Whales never do this, but it destroyed their ship. So they got into these little lifeboats, right? This is in the 1800s, wooden ones. And they were pushing it. And the captain, he was reliving this nightmare, right, in his head. And he couldn't sleep at night. But he said that when I wrote down what happened and the event that happened, he said instantly he could just go to sleep, right? Because there's a lot of barakah and power in writing, you know? It helps a lot with many aspects of life. I mean, this was for his mental stability, right? But even when you write stuff down, all these features come up. So me and the brother that I worked with, Muhammad Qadan, we worked on it together, and we were writing down what we wanted to do, and we came up with all these features, and Hasanat Counter was one of them. And we're like, look, we have to put this in. And you know, the Hasanat Counter really shows you the mercy of Allah. Hamza Zotzi says it's visualizing divine mercy. You know, when you see, subhanallah, and that's minimum. 10 hasanat for 1 liter, that's minimum. In Ramadan, because we're cloud-based, right? And we've got these APIs and stuff, we times it by 10 in Ramadan. So people are like, bro, it's not working. There's something wrong. Why is there so much? And I'm like, look, it's Ramadan. Everything is times 10. So we're going to make it times 10.
Yeah.
So people see that and they get shocked. And then the Prophet says that if you guide someone to good, you get the reward of the same good without anything being taken away from yours or theirs. So we said, if you share the app with somebody, it'll bring their hasanat counter onto yours. So one brother, he did it. He's got a channel called Dawah Digital, and he got so inspired by the app. He's like, I'm sharing my buddy link with everyone. He put it on his channel, right? And loads of people downloaded it. But when I saw his hasanat counter, I was like, bro, what is this? Because people downloaded it in Ramadan and they were finishing Quran under him, right? His hasanat counter was 150 million. Yeah, so we'll accept it, inshallah. But you know, you finish one Quran in Ramadan is 30 million. He probably had like 4, 5, 6 people, right? And it just shows you that you spread a bit of good. Allah says, look, here you go. And this is what we see and what we know. You know, if Allah accepts it, it's even more. Imagine people who spread Quran to thousands of people, right? So we build these features in just to make it, you know, people like it. And there's one feature that was a mistake, right? It was supposed to be something, but the designer said, oh, I thought it's this, right? And he said, people reading right now. And I said, okay, no problem. And it was one of the things where I got lazy and I just left it and I just didn't correct them. Designer did it, developer implemented it, and it became such a huge feature. People reading right now. Everyone loves that. I don't know why. They say we go on the app, even though we've read, and just see how many people are reading right now. I was like, really? That's so. I do that just because I want to see how many people are using the app. But others, my auntie, my mom, the brothers I know, and they're like, yeah, in Ramadan, in the last few nights of Ramadan, it was 300 something, and right now it's like 70. On Jumu'ah, it's 100 plus. So that was a freak feature that we had, and people love it. I guess it's the community aspect of it.
I like that feature a lot. I'm looking at it now again, and for me, the reason I like it is because when I compare it to Ramadan, I notice it's obviously a lot more Ramadan, and then it's obviously less outside of that. But that kind of sadness that it's less motivates me to read, to be part of the people that are reading. And obviously,
I'm one of them.
Yeah,
I'm one of
exactly.
them who didn't give up in Ramadan.
And obviously, there's like a purple Qurani light across the world, or whoever's using it. But obviously, we know that there's way more people read the Quran than exclusively on Qurani. However, just the fact that it's low, you can just then superimpose that number onto the Quran all over the world in all the formats that you can obtain it. So in my head, it's like, I'm like, oh, subhanAllah, look at the state of the ummah. I want to be, okay, let's say there's 60 people, I want to be the 61st person or whatever. I want to add to that kind of community of people reading the Quran in hopes to better the ummah. But yeah, absolutely, all these features absolutely motivating. I mean, have you had a chance to look at the app?
Of course, yeah. I got it in Ramadan, but I guess I'm not the target audience, because this is actually interesting. Alhamdulillah, for many years, I've been reading every day before Qurani existed. But what I found, because recently I was in the UK, Aisa, yeah? I went to the UK, and when I went to the UK, my Quran plummeted, yeah? Because my Quran is very linked to straight after Salah. So years ago, it was after Dhuhr. I wouldn't go home until I'd read my wird, yeah, for the day. And now it's after Fajr. I don't leave the masjid until I've done that. So because it's linked to something that I'm already established doing, alhamdulillah, I never leave it. But when I was in the UK, it's like, okay, now I'm not going masjid anymore to pray because there wasn't one nearby. And now it's just like the habit kind of went out the window, you know? Yeah. So, but I did get it in Ramadan. I took a look at it. I thought, this is what we need to do, because I don't know how you approach it. I was going to ask you, Asa, like when you thought like, yeah, you were struggling to establish the habit and keep up with it, was your, Yani, when you decided to kind of solve that issue for yourself and for other people, was your first thing to go to, like, what do they call it, behavioral psychology kind of stuff, or what was the first direction you took?
Yeah, I think I did a lot of research, right, when I was building the app. I mean, the whole journey to build Qurani, it was a nightmare. You know what's this thing called Murphy's Law? They say that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, right?
Okay.
That's Murphy's Law, right?
Perhaps, yeah.
So one of the brothers was telling me something interesting. He said it's not Murphy's Law. Allah does these things. This is one of the things that Allah does to test you, right? When you want to do something that's big, it's Allah makes things go wrong as much as possible to see how many hurdles you overcome. Or when the reward is great, it's going to be very difficult to get through. So going back to your question, I went through Atomic Habits, which is a very popular book. It's quite good. I went through a lot of behavioral psychology, gamification, dopamine. If you notice, there's a little vibration when you press next on Qur'an, right? Okay. And this is people really like this. Like some brothers. There's a lot of brothers that I thought would never use Qur'ani, because I thought, why would you need Qur'ani? Even Huffaz, they come to me and they say, bro, like these are the guys I was going to work with. So they said, bro, my account, the trial's finished. I said, yeah, okay, I'll update your account, right? I'm like, why do you need it? And they're like, look, we need it because I want to keep up with it. I started reading more when I got this app, right? I love the tracking and everything. And I said, okay, yeah, he gets in. So yeah, all these features were put in because I wanted to combine, obviously, the Islamic aspect and what we learn from science, from the creation that Allah's created within us, how it works, how we think, what's easy for us, what's a dopamine trigger. So we implemented those features into it, right, to make it more interactive and user-friendly. I mean, one big thing in behavioral psychology is that reminders, right? if you don't get constantly reminded about something, you forget. This is very normal. And if you get the same reminder, you get habituated to that, right? We learn this in biology, like GCSE. You live outside a busy road in your house, you don't hear it. When someone visits your house, they're like, how do you guys live on this busy road? But you're like, well, what are you talking about? We're used to it, right? That's just human nature. So if I give you a reminder every day, read Quran, read Quran, read Quran, read Quran, you don't even look at that anymore. You know what that reminder is. But every day when that verse from the Quran, the reminder is different, right? Like, man, this is unique. And people love that. Like it's almost as big as the app that people say, no, reminders, oh, my reminder stopped. And we're like, oh no, we did an update, it's fixed now. It's a big part of Qurani. So we have reminders for 2 years. You will never see the same verse ever again. And this stuff takes time. It takes time, effort, money, commitment to sit down and create 700 unique reminders for 2 years, right? But we did it, alhamdulillah, and we see the fruits of it now, you know. It's to get them always into and always, you know, eye-catching, right? So yeah, we use a lot of behavioral psychology to build it.
Did you? I just was looking up the book to remind myself. The book Hooked, which is by Nir Eyal. That was a big one, I remember.
Yeah, I need to read that. I didn't go through that, but
okay. I don't know when you started building it because it might not have been out at that time.
Okay. Let me see. It was like a year and a half ago, I think. No.
Yeah, that one is how to build habit forming products, which is like, I remember people talking about, it's 2014. I remember people talking about that in terms of, oh yeah, this is like the evil that Facebook does to get us in and all that. But I think the book mentioned that, you know, you can use it either way, you know, for good things, bad things, and you can use the same principles to kind of protect yourself against overusing. And I always say, and what we've said on this podcast is like, you think you can defend yourself against, like an army of Instagram engineers, right? They're doing their full-time job, and they're like some of the best in the world. Their full-time job is to drag you back into the app again and again and again, right? Because every time you go on the app, you see ads. When you see ads, Facebook makes money, right? Now, the same, like, why don't we have people dragging us to Jannah in a way, right? And that's inshallah what Qur'an does.
That's one, you know, we follow some of the features that they use. So for example, you notice in YouTube, you can't see the time on your phone when you're playing YouTube. I'd actually hide it because they want you to spend as much time as possible.
Wow, yeah.
So we did that with Quran. You can't see the time when you're reading Quran, right?
Yeah.
Which kind of keeps you engrossed in it because it's the full screen. So like you said, you use it for good, you use it for bad.
What about, I wonder if anyone's asked you these kind of questions like around, but because you're tricking my dopamine system to read the Quran, I won't be so sincere and this and this. Like, did you get anyone?
Yeah, you know, we get heat from people sometimes where they say, why have you got a Hasana counter inside it? And, you know, this is not right. And, you know, there's a man who came on the Day of Judgment and he's going to have all these deeds, but there'll be nothing. And I said, brother, why did the Prophet ﷺ tell us that number? Why would he tell you? It's to motivate you, right? We're not saying the Hasanat counter is accepted, right? Inshallah, it's more than the Hasanat counter that you have, and it's accepted, inshallah. But it's a counter. It's just counting the value, right? And we're going to add a feature maybe in the future, inshallah, where they'll have the eye icon, you know, the password. When you click the eye and it shows your password or hides it. So for some people who want to do it, we had a nice feature where every Wednesday it disappears your Hasanat counter to make you think that, you know, it might be nothing if you're not sincere, right? So we might work on that, but just generally, the Prophet told us because it's something to motivate you, right? Why wouldn't you, you know, have something like that to visualize it? So yeah.
I could understand people's sort of apprehension as if it was out there shared, you know, amongst a list of your contacts and then you're comparing. Although I did have a discussion with a friend of mine regarding this, that it would be, obviously I'm not suggesting ideas here, you probably have these thoughts already, but like with a group of people or at least a couple of people you could choose to share. So I'll give you an example. Like I've spoke a lot about like the Apple Fitness app on the Apple Watch and stuff, and I've been using that to death. But what boosted it for me was when my cousin just started sharing his activity with me and we started competing, right? So that, in a way, like I've had that discussion with my mum. My mum loves Quran and she's been using it since Ramadan. And I think all of
I remember when your mum finished it.
Yeah,
and I was
absolutely.
Like, bro.
Absolutely.
Even me, I was like, how?
Yeah.
How has she finished it so fast?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And I think, all of my bonus Hasaned are probably from her, because I don't know who else shared it. But just that, like, you could have that person that you trust. Like, I know, for example, I could easily guilt-free have a competition with my wife about the Quran and look at Quran and say, listen, my Hasaned count this week is this much. What about yours? And I wouldn't feel any guilt there at all about my intentions or whatever, because I'm responsible for my family, right? So actually me competing with them is good. So in one way, sharing that Hasaned counter is definitely a benefit for some people, no?
Yeah, subhanAllah, bro, I'll tell you something interesting. We had a feature, it actually exists in Qurani, we haven't launched it yet, where you could make groups and stuff like this. And Amin will know about this as well. But sometimes people think that, okay, you can add this feature, this feature, this feature, but they don't understand how systems work. It could literally break down if you add, you think all these features will be great, but if people and the numbers aren't moving through them, it's just a failed system, basically, right? So we have a thing where you can make groups and stuff like that, and it's there, it exists, but we haven't launched it. But that's just going to make things complicated, right? Because you're going to post on there, one guy doesn't do it, he feels embarrassed, one guy doesn't subscribe anymore. It's just going to make it a mess. And I kept thinking, how can I do this? How can I implement this feature? And subhanAllah, I use this app of fitness with 3 of my friends. And it's the best thing, right? Because you see what they do. So one of our friends, I saw his fitness, and it was like 600 calories out of 500. And I was like, he owes me an edit. And he hasn't done that edit because probably he's gone walking or something, doing exercise yesterday, right? And I messaged, I was like, bro, I know you've been doing walking and steps and stuff, right? But now that you mention it, this is actually the perfect way to introduce that. It's not complicated. It's just a tracker, right? It could be verses, it could be pages. You can choose which stat you want to share. But yeah, inshallah, we'll implement that. That could be huge, in the next update.
Inshallah. No, absolutely, bro. Like, going back to that, fitness app, bro, like, I could be lying down on my bed and then I see, like, it notifies me my cousin's just finished the workout. I'm like, oh, no, I can't let him win. I have to get up and I go out to the gym. So yeah, absolutely, bro. I mean, we spoke a lot about this sort of stuff, I guess, this sort of gamification, I think we call it, no?
Yeah. I was thinking as well, Asa, like, if it's anonymized, okay, so it's like you don't know like how much I've read or Muhammad's read or whatever, but you see other people are reading more than you, that might be enough to get you up and going.
True. We have inshallah, we're gonna implement some features. I think this community-based thing is very powerful for people. And a brother at school, he was telling me, Isa, it's just like the masjid. When you go to the masjid, you have a sense of like the jama'ah, everyone standing together. It inspires you to do more, and it motivates you to even pray your sunnah after the salah. You see someone reading the Quran, you read the Quran. So this our deen is based around this community thing. That's why they say don't miss more than 4 Jumu'ah. It's really bad. It's to bring you to that community again and again.
To force you, to have that interaction. And it's like, there's also the hadith of Prophet ﷺ where he said, the one who kind of sticks with the jama'ah and they're patient on their harms or whatever difficulties come out of mixing with people is better than the one who like isolates away from people and avoids people. And so it's like, life is not about just like Ashab al-Kahf, that's an extreme, but the norm is like, we try and stick with people, we try and help people up if they're down and all of that. And Aisa, you probably would have heard of this maybe, that, like membership sites, they say that people join for the content, but they stay for the community, right? And I know I've stayed on some membership sites for years just because of a Facebook group. Just because of that. So definitely and I think you're involved in Faisal's, I can't remember what, Huddle, right? Huddle's thing.
Right? Huddle,
So there is something, and I was telling Faisal this actually, like there's something going on with online communities in the sense where, look, for better or worse, we're more isolated, right? And in our own locality, we might find it harder to meet people just in a serendipitous way, yes? So therefore, not to replace real community face-to-face interaction, but to be like the top of the funnel, if you like, to meeting people, These online communities can be really powerful. What are your thoughts on, online communities? Can they replace face-to-face, or is it a funneling tool, or what do you think about them?
I think online communities are very powerful. I mean, I do this as well. I mean, I was part of a lot of masterminds for like advertising and stuff. It's a great place to like, whatever field you work in to learn about this stuff. So yeah, communities online are big. I mean, I have like, I'm going to do my test inshallah, but I have like ADHD basically, right? It's very difficult for me to concentrate. I use this thing, right? And they don't pay me. I don't have a contract with them, but I use something called Cave Day, right? It's an online platform where you go and you literally get on a Zoom call and there's about 40 to 50 people on that Zoom call. Everyone has their camera and their audio on and they have 1 hour sessions of just working, right? And it's just that community aspect. I see all these non-Muslims and I'm like, all these people are working right now. I need to be working, right? And I get work done, right? That helps me a lot. So definitely there's a big aspect of an online community, coming together. You really do much more because you see everyone else doing it, and you think, now how can I not do it? So yeah, there's a big opportunity, and we're going to see how we can explore it in Quran. We wanted to do something where like every week, one day, there's like an hour session called like the Quran Cave, where you can come and there's someone reciting or reading and everyone's just doing their Quran, right? For like 45 minutes, where they can say, at least a juz a week I've finished in that session. So we're going to explore that. But yeah, there's a huge potential for online communities, especially in the Muslim spheres online.
I remember I saw Faisal doing, people have study with me on YouTube, live thing. I saw Faisal doing like memorize with me. I think he might have only done it once, maybe just trying it out, but I thought it was interesting.
There's definitely sort of great ideas, isn't there, that Muslim community or haven't really capitalized on and are doing wonders. We're always a bit late to the scene, I think, with all these sort of innovations, I suppose, because innovation is bad, but not in terms of this sort of thing. Bro, Asa, talk to me, right? I've already made a clip about this on Mind Heist about obviously the issues people had with paying a subscription, right? And I'm sure you're pulling your hair out, and I've been defending it since day dot, because I think even once you contacted about offering a free subscription or whatever it was, and I refused. I was just not. I'm not going to be that guy, But what do you think is the issue there? So people just What is it?
Yeah, bro. First of all, massive jazakallah khair for that. When I saw the clip that you guys had, I was like, it's really good. And even from the deen, defending the honor of your brother in their absence, right? This is a big thing that Muslims should do. There's so much reward and barakah inside there. But I get this a lot, right? People are like, why is it charged, brother? Why is there a cost to it? And what I say to people, I mean, I don't say this because it's hard for me to explain it, but you guys will all know, being in the Islamic environment, you always see Islamic projects and causes coming up, disappearing, coming up, disappearing, coming up, disappearing, bubbles that burst, right? A lot of the time is because they don't have any funding or revenue. Everyone has families, everyone has commitments, everyone has old parents, everyone has somebody who needs money for someone, everyone has some cousin who's like in massive debt and in trouble and they need to work and help them. These things happen, right? Alhamdulillah, I'm not saying that's happening to me or that I'm using Qurani for that at all, but everyone, they have these problems, so they have to work, right? I didn't want Qurani to become another project that just comes on the scene, right? No revenue, it gets users and everything, and then I get busy, my friend gets busy, designers get busy, and it's gone. Alhamdulillah, Qurani, we have a structure. We pay the developers, we pay the designers, we pay for all the services, alhamdulillah, right? And I feel like that's something that keeps it going, even though, we struggled. We literally just paid off our development fees 1.5 months ago. Literally 1.5 months ago, Qurani finally came out there. So the developers in Pakistan, they were so merciful. They said, look, you can take your time, alhamdulillah. And they allowed us to pay per month. Alhamdulillah, that gave us some breathing space finally. So I see it from that aspect. And, when the question saying, oh, Isa, how can you charge for Qurani with this app? Bro, I just asked them 2 simple questions and it literally breaks it instantly. Or they have really bad akhlaq and they'll still keep going at you. First thing I say is, okay, you take your child to a Quran lesson and you drop them off. They finish the Quran lesson and then you tell the teacher, listen, don't you dare charge my child for this Quran lesson. I ain't paying you. Come on, son, let's go. I said, would you ever do that? And they said, no, well, why wouldn't I? But they said, brother, you're paying for the time of the Quran teacher. And I said, yes, for Quran, I said, the Quran is in your bookshelf that you don't read, right? It's on your phone, on other free apps that you don't read, and it's everywhere. You're paying for the software, the technology, and the app, and everything that we have, right? And I explain this to them, and I tell them, okay, go into a bookshop, right? When you buy a Quran, do you just run out with it, saying, no, it's free, I'm not going to pay for it? You pay for it. Are you just paying for the bare bones of the paper? No. Why are you paying more? What about all the scholars in the bookshop who have books? Why isn't the book £1.29, which is the cost of paper? Why is it £9.99? Why is it £15? Why? Why do these things cost? So, sometimes people live in a bubble. One guy was arguing with me about like Imam. I said, brother, you do know that imams who lead in the, do you question them leading the salah? I said, you do know imams get paid, right? Like literally 99% of imams in the world, they get paid. They can't lead 5 salahs with their families and stuff. And he was so convinced that imams don't get paid. He said, no, brother, that's in your country. It must be you. Trust me, imams don't get paid. I said, brother, what are you talking about? Do you know Abu Bakr, do you know the Khalifs? They had a salary. They got paid for the things that they would do. Would you question what they did for Islam and Deen and stuff? So I have this debate, but look, we have a policy at Qur'an, which this is what frustrates me. I tell them, look, we'll give you a free account. No problem. For me, it's win-win, right? You know, and we say we give it, but they still go and there's this thing of like cancel culture. Bro, subhanAllah, it's so bad, especially with the younger generation. They'll email you, you'll forget to reply to them, and they're going to go and leave a 1-star review on the App Store. And they'll write a long thing, and it's so horrible. But this is our policy. We say, look, you can't afford it, we give it to you for free. You got no excuse. You can afford it, get it. If not, do the 7-day free trial. So yeah, with that, bro, we get a lot of heat. But you know what, subhanAllah, I know that from that intro, please let Qur'an keep going. Mashallah, people like you and others, you know, with the massive support, especially publicly as well. You know, the feedback I get, it destroys all of that. You know, when people say to me, listen, they say, you have changed my life. This is it, exactly what they write in the email. I said, I haven't changed your life. I said, what you're reading has changed your life. We just brought you there. We were just the institute, right? And you're studying the Quran there. And it happened, bro. If you're reading the Quran with translation, you see yourself, like, I'm sure you've experienced this, Muhammad. You're reading and you're like, wow, what did I just read? That's so deep. Subhanallah. And it'll answer questions in your life sometimes and make you ponder, right? And when you finish your Quran, you say, you know what? This is the best thing in the world. That not Qurani, but the fact that I'm reading Quran every day and I have a connection with the words of Allah, right? You know, I'm flying in the plane, I'm seeing all the water on the plane window, and I'm just thinking about the verses that Allah says about water. I see a waterfall in Mexico, right? And I say to myself that, you know, this is what Allah has created. What has He got in Jannah, right? And you know, the water's flowing, and I'm thinking about rivers, God is underneath which rivers flow. And subhanAllah, the Quran comes into your life because you're reading it every day and you're connecting. And you know, this is like something like with the Amin and the other brothers, they experience, but majority of people, they don't experience this because they didn't go through that journey to get them. Because alhamdulillah, even me before Quran, look, I built the habit, right? I was on the journey, I couldn't do it, and then I built that habit. But then I was like, look, let's fix it. Let's remind the people, do that. I had that journey, I went through it, and I was there, and Amin was there, and there's lots of people like that. But for the most people, they don't have that. And when they start with 1 verse a day, right, and then they're like, wow, it's 12 seconds. You reading 1 verse a day, you read more than a lot of Muslims. People after Ramadan don't sit down and read Quran page after page. The guy who reads 1 verse a day, at the end of the year, 360, he's done 3 juz of Quran. Ask yourself, do you read 3 juz of Quran outside of Ramadan yourself, like sitting down? People say, I don't even open the Mus'haf Ramadan to Ramadan. So, yeah.
That's a good way of deciding, like, will Quranly benefit me? Well, the question is, do you read 3 juz or less? If you read less per year, then Quranly will definitely increase your reading of Quran, isn't it?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I mean, my reading experience has been incredible, alhamdulillah. Because I've made the app and I know I had my goal at 10 verses per day, right? And then I saw myself questioning it at times, saying that, you know, right now,
yes,
I don't think I can because I've got something going on. So I said, you know what, this is wrong. I changed it to 3 verses.
Yes.
I read my 3 verses and then I continue to 10. And a lot of people say to me, there's a brother, can you increase it to 50 verses a day? Can you increase it? And I tell them, look, after Ramadan, trust me, it's not the same. You don't realize life is there. It's very different. Even in the deen, we know you have to go out and work and make money. This is how Allah's made the world. Whatever you want to say, you have to go out, earn money and pay the bills and pay the rent and do all of that. You have to do that. This is how this world works, right? And so after Ramadan, they think, no, I'm going to read so much more. And everyone sees, whoa. Damn, I was doing a juz every day. I was doing a juz and a half. Now you struggle to do a half a juz every day, right? And then they're like, okay, yeah, 10 verses is good. So I do 2 verses a day, alhamdulillah. But I read much more when I'm driving or something, or I'm traveling. I read much more, in the plane. I read much more. Alhamdulillah, I'm just starting my third finishing of the Quran. I'm just starting it. So inshallah, hopefully before Ramadan, I can finish it a third time. I know that's might be not much for some people. I ask people in my family, and they're like, we've done about 5 or 6, and I'm like, okay, mashallah, that's brilliant. And so, but alhamdulillah, for me, that's so huge, right? Because I'm like, wow, am I really going to finish the Quran 3 times today? Inshallah, and I only say this publicly just because people are watching this podcast, or we're deciding, and they're going to decide, should I get this app to read Quran? Maybe they hear this and will say, I'd like that, and then they start reading it and finishing multiple Qurans every single year, which they can do with Quran.
And obviously, bro, like if the goal is 10 verses a day, you can read beyond that, isn't it? It's not going to stop you. Exactly. The point is to lower the barrier to entry, where it's like you just tell yourself one verse, but it becomes 10 and 11 and all of that.
It also adds to the capacity of reading that translation as well, because if you were to read a whole page of Quran, let's say a day, you've also, if you're not Arabic speaking and have that deep understanding of classical Arabic, have to read a whole page or more generally of translation, right? So I've set mine to 3 or 5 verses a day. I can read the translation there and then, and I'm actually understanding way more Quran now than I was through going, oh, I need to read a whole page or 2 pages or whatever, because I wouldn't put myself through sitting and reading the translation. So definitely there's benefits, the small and frequent, isn't it? And I think that's why there is that sort of tradition in Islam about the barakah of, or the blessings of having small but frequent deeds, isn't it?
The hadith is so powerful, bro. It's the most beloved deed to Allah is that which is regular and constant, even if it's this. This is what the Prophet says, that this is Allah's most beloved deed, but you do it regularly. So picking a small target daily and sticking to it is very powerful.
That's the biggest thing, man. Sometimes we're ambitious in a bad way, like we're so ambitious, and then we go from 50 verses a day to 0, and it stays at 0. Whereas if we just did 5, we'd be like that the whole year, like you said. So
or 1. Like my brother, he does 1 verse, and he doesn't mind me saying this. And he's done about 10 hours of Quran reading since Ramadan, which isn't much if you think of it, right? Because we probably do that like in 2 weeks, right? But his point was, I asked him, he's only I think 17, and he said that, I said, okay, how much Quran would you read compared to this before? And he was honest. He's like, bro, he said, I wouldn't read Quran at all. At all. Like maybe here and there online you see a verse, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, so we just missed the bit after you said about your brother. He said, look, I don't usually read anything.
Yeah. He said, I wouldn't read anything before Ramadan, like before Quran. I wouldn't read any Quran at all, right? And subhanAllah, so it's a big change. So even if you don't read any Quran at all, and you read 1 verse a day, like you are on 8 hours, 10, 12 hours, and you've done 4 or 5 juz of the Quran. So it's very powerful. You pick 1 verse or 2 verses, and you'll be shocked at how much progress you make.
Actually, going back to the whole people paying and not paying thing, I was talking to someone about this culture of everything is a subscription, and I was saying, well, because I watched this, I think it was actually a Vice documentary of Muhammad, where they were talking about these farmers who have these very advanced tractors, and they don't ultimately have control over these extremely advanced, extremely expensive tractors that they buy for their farms in the US. They've got GPS in them, they can like drive themselves and all this stuff, but they're not allowed to fix the tractors themselves, and they're so advanced in terms of the sensors and everything in them. The contract when they buy the tractor is the maintenance or fixing or even diagnosing the problem has to be done by the manufacturer, right? So it came down to this question of, do we truly own these tractors if we're not allowed to even fix them when they break, right? We have to go back to the same manufacturer. So that was like one argument of like, when we're paying something on a subscription, do we even own it? Because when we stop paying, we lose access to that thing. But on the flip side, I was thinking, look, like, like Adobe is like the big move they made where they went to to subscription from the one-off fee. It's like, obviously they're making a lot more money now, but that money is getting reinvested into improving it constantly, and especially for smaller companies, it allows them to have that stability that, okay, we can have some fluctuations in our revenue, but we know that, you know, generally we're going to make this amount per month, and therefore we can hire this many people, we can make this many features, add this many features, and also I think when you've got subscriptions going, it makes you think twice about what do I actually value enough to pay for, right? And it'll make you like make better decisions about what you buy and don't buy. So it's like, I value Qurani, yes, it's a subscription, and to show that I value it and I'm actually going to use it, I'm going to pay every month for it. Whereas something that, you know, I might pay one-off for it but never use it, well then that wasn't a good you know, purchase in the end, you know what I mean? So there is actually benefits to paying for subscription. The fact that the people making it can update it, they can maintain it. Like, people think software doesn't need maintaining, or there's no server costs or anything like that. Like, there is, obviously. Like, just to maintain it and fix bugs is one layer, but then also adding features is another layer, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there's a few layers that we have to our subscription and why we do subscription. The first thing is that what you mentioned is that we know that if we get a certain revenue, we know that we can use that to improve the app. I mean, the amount of money that we spend on design and development, if we do a few small feature changes, right, like over a few days or like a few weeks, it's easily £2,000 to £3,000. This is normal. This is how the app industry works. I mean, it's actually cheaper how we get it done, but it's more expensive to go to companies in the UK and USA. It's sometimes £70 to £100 an hour just to be working on your app, right? So that's one thing. We can always work on the new design. Like, for example, right now, Qurani is getting a revamp of the design. And a lot of people said to me, no, you don't need to do it. It looks so amazing. And I said, yeah, but if I listen to you, I'll never keep improving it and going to the next level, right? So alhamdulillah, we're investing a lot now into design and development. Literally the whole app, and you can go into this, the whole app is being redone completely. It's being built as a separate app completely, because the first round of Qurani, when we got it made, it was a disaster, right? We got it made and nothing was working. The functions were working. One of the reasons why Qurani isn't offline is because it was unfortunately not made like that in the beginning. And when I asked the developers now to fix it, they said, we can't. It's like breaking the foundations of a building that's built. It's impossible, right? So now we have to go through that whole cycle again, which is costing us £25,000 just for the development, right? It's not, even if you look at the revenue, it's not going to match up, right? Just the development is going to be £25,000, and design maybe anywhere from £7,000 to £10,000. So if you want to change and you get back the same thing, okay, it looks different, it's the design, and now it has online, right? That's £35,000. So people don't understand the numbers, right? And I tell people that I have never seen like £25,000 ever, like in my bank or anywhere, right? And even when I did see less than that, it was because, you know, it came from here, and I had to transfer it there and there, right? So for us to bring it all together, it was all from Allah subhanahu. You know, the first developers we went to, they said to us that it's going to be like 60K. And I was like, and they said you should hire someone to work on the app full time. So basically, it's costing £35,000 to do the second development, right? And when we started the app and we went to them, and my life savings was £7,000, and I asked the first developers, and they said 60 grand, and you need someone full time for this. And I was like, you know what? This is out of my reach. I can't even afford this. It's like going to a shop trying to buy something, and the guy says, listen, who do you think you are, right? And my dreams were shattered, right? But then I remembered someone else, and I contacted another company, and they said, yeah, we can do it for like 12K. But then we said we want a few more features, and they increased it to 16K. And then we paid them like a partial payment, and we started that for the app to come out and, you know, be like really messed up. Like, it didn't even have the English translation, and they said, sorry, we can't work on the English translation. We can't do it. So you have to figure that out yourself. So I'm like, what are you saying? You know, how can you tell me there's no translation? So then look at the plan of Allah. We go back to the first developers, and they said, listen, come, we'll help you, no problem. Let us know what's going on. For them to now have an app that's already built and just make a few changes onto it. And look how Allah plans these things, right? Maybe He was just testing us. And then they worked on the app and they salvaged it just before Ramadan, and we launched it. So a lot of the time when people see some bugs and features, I actually explain this whole story to them that, look, this was our journey. We went here, then we went here, and now we're fixing. And now we're in that position where we're basically paying off these fees. And because people are subscribed and they pay the fees and stuff, we're able to, first of all, market it, get out to all these people. And it's also, we're able to,
Yeah, bro. So continue the story of how it all worked out in the end. So the first developer, they said, we can help you out.
Yeah, so basically what happened is when we started Qurani, everything was ready, everything was made. We went to the first developers and we gave them the whole brief. We made them sign the NDA and all of that, right? So they don't, obviously share the idea or develop it themselves. And they came back to us with a quote and they said 60,000, right, to develop this app. And you need to get a staff full-time who's going to work on this and manage your users. And I was like, my life savings are like £7,000 at this point, which all of it, inshallah, I'm going to put into Qurani, right? And my dreams are shattered because it's like 10x more like what I have, right? It's like you go into a shop to buy something you thought was 10 pounds and it's actually 100, and all you have is 10 pounds, right? It's really demotivating. So I said, subhanAllah, this is messed up. Then I remembered I knew a few other developers and I contacted them. I gave them the brief and stuff, and they said, yeah, we can do it for 12,000 or we can do it for 16,000. And I said, okay, you know what? Let's go with them. And we went with them, and they had good knowledge base, but they didn't have the experience in making apps properly, right? So there was a lot of issues, a lot of bugs, so much so that when they gave me the Qur'an app, they said that, the English translation isn't working. We can't figure it out. So you'll have to figure that out or find a way to do it, right? And I was like, guys, how can you give me a Quran app and say there's no English translation? It's such a simple feature. But Qadar Allah, that Allah did that for a reason. So we would start the app on a lower price, and then we went back to the initial developers. They were so nice. They said, no, come back, we'll advise you, we'll help you, inshallah. And they basically took the app and they salvaged all of it. So much so that they're based in Karachi, right? I'm from Karachi, Pakistan as well. Yeah. And so before they were starting the project, and we agreed everything, and they said, okay, we'll get it done before Ramadan. And bear in mind, before Ramadan, there's only like it was like 6 weeks. I basically got one of my uncles there. He has a donut shop. I bought donuts for them, and I said, can you go and get this delivered to their office? So I sent it to them, and they were so happy and so surprised that, they've got donuts, right? But these brothers and these developers, they're like geniuses, right? They come out from the best unis. They have like the best grades, and they're really good developers, right? So they're very intelligent. So they had the donuts. They said, Jazakallah khair, Isa. And the brother said to me, he said, there's a joke in the office. They said that what you're doing is before you give the lamb for sacrifice, you feed it some water and give it some food, because you're going to do the biya the next day and you're going to slaughter it for eat. So they know what you're going to put them into now for the next 6 weeks. That's why you said the donut to sweeten them up. But, I was making dua, and I was like, you know what, let's do this. Inshallah, let's get this app ready. And mashallah, they worked through it. They spent nights there. They would send me pictures of their dinners. The brother was getting headaches. There was like all these bugs and issues. And subhanAllah, finally, we had so many strange things that you would think would never happen. For example, we had swipe on Qur'ani, right? Instead of pressing the button, you could swipe. But after you swipe for like 20 times, all of a sudden it starts to go backwards in the swipe. So you swipe right, but it goes back a few whistles. And we just couldn't figure it out, subhanAllah. And then we had to get rid of the swipe feature, and there's all these issues. But subhanAllah, we kept overcoming them one after another. And then subhanAllah, I was going to have my third child, right? Zakaria, right? My wife was going to give birth. So I said, you know what? Alhamdulillah, I had 2 kids. It's okay. My wife's going to give birth, and we're going to go home, and I'm going to have a few days for Qurani's launch, which is just coming at the same time. Everything was happening at this time.
Yeah.
My wife gives birth, and they said, no, we need to take him to the intensive care. He's going to be here. One day he goes past 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. The whole week we spent in the hospital. So everything that can go wrong, subhanAllah, was going wrong. I mean, it could have been much worse. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved us, right? And Zakaria's all good, baby Zakaria's all good now, mashallah. But everything was happening at that point. And I was like, look, Allah's testing us, Allah's showing us all these things. Let me just push through. And that happened. And then mashallah, we did the launch. And now when we did the launch, that is when, subhanAllah, you see the fruits and Allah accept it. It was like, seeing like a movie unfold in front of you. I mean, the first day we had like 2,000 downloads almost, right? Everyone was downloading it. We shot up in the UK App Store to like number 4, then number 3, then number 2 in UK charts, right? We beat Amazon Kindle and Amazon Audible on the App Store, right? Which is a big deal, because how much they push out Audible and Kindle, right? In ads, on their website, everywhere. All the people buying books of Amazon in the UK have the Kindle option that they can click on, right? So it's huge. But we became number 2, and I was like, subhanAllah, what a blessing, right? And companies were emailing us. We were coming up on the home page of the App Store, and I was like, subhanAllah, all of it paid off in the end. Not financially at that point, but paid off in terms of like the people downloading and reading it. And so the feedback was amazing. I mean, even now, the stuff that people say, you know, how they've connected to the Quran, how they read it every day, that's what keeps us going, honestly. That's the most important thing, that, you know, it actually works. It's not a gimmick. A lot of people think that, you know, I promote through Hijab and Ali and these guys, and they're like, oh, they're just your friends. And you reverse engineer this whole thing because you saw a famous friend and you said, let me make a product and sell it to people. Right? Some people think like that, unfortunately. Honestly, bro, it's shocking, but they do. But and then they use it, and then they email us saying that, okay, you know, I thought it was all hype, but when I used it, I'm like, this is the most Quran I've ever read, like in one sitting, right? And it builds that habit and gets them into the rhythm. A lot of people who get Qurani, they email us and saying, like, can I get it for my mom? Can I get it for my wife? And, you know, we tell them, okay, we gift it, inshallah, to them, no problem. We don't like that. Like, yeah, here's the product, here's the offer, brother. You know, I can give you a deal if you get 3 more subscriptions. The main goal is to get people to read regularly. And going on to your question before about the subscription, one of the reasons we have the subscription is because there is a concept of when you pay regularly and you pay monthly for something, you use it and you have this guilt. You don't want to pay for something and you don't use it. This is a huge thing. Sometimes you buy lifetime or you buy annual of something and you stop using it. I had this myself. I got Rosetta Stone, right? I use that for my Arabic. And I just bought the lifetime. And now I tell myself, it doesn't matter if I don't do it now. I can take a 1 month break. I can start in 6 months, because I've always got it, right? So you have this thing, even courses, you know, courses is the worst. People buy these courses and they never do these courses, right? Because they're like, I've always got it. It's fine. When I'm ready, I'll get it done. So the subscription helps people always, you know, stay on track that, you know what, I'm paying for a subscription. I need to be using this regularly. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why we've kept that model.
MashaAllah. You know, I hope, because, you know, the people who may kind of criticize or whatever, like you said, they don't understand a lot of the time how it works, right? And they're very like naive as well, like you said. But inshallah, by the explanation you've given in terms of how it really works in the real world, like how much people are charging and what it takes to build an app and all of this, inshallah, people understand, you know, even people who maybe they used to criticize or whatever, they can understand really now, because now you've properly told the story. And some people, they just don't get it, how it works and how costs work, because I guess the majority of people, they've never been in business, or they've never been in an organization that needs finances and operates and this and that. So inshallah, that's like a peek into the real world for them, you know?
Yeah, 100% inshallah. Hopefully it makes more sense for them after they hear the explanations.
And Aisa, what was was there a point in that process that you like questioned whether you should continue or not?
Yeah, honestly, subhanAllah, and many times, you know, subhanAllah, there were situations where there was cost and stuff. And I thought to myself, how am I going to do this? Like, how are we going to pay for this, right? And you really question, but subhanAllah, you know, you just don't know, like, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides money from. You know, someone would say, look, I'll invest, or I'll give you a bit of money, or you borrow money from there, or suddenly you get paid from somewhere. And I was telling people as well that, look, when I was building Qurani initially, I had to do extra work to have money to get stuff done. Like, for example, the design, we had a lot of iterations for the design, right?
Yeah.
And I had to literally do marketing work and get paid to be able to go and pay the developers of my own money. I don't put that on Qurani's account or Qurani's business or any of that, right? But I had to make those sacrifices. I mean, the design that we did for Qurani, it cost us close to £10,000, right? And people would think, why would you spend £10,000 on design? But I tell them, they don't understand that, you know, when you use Uber, we're Muslims, right? We might not use mainstream design, but we all use apps that have mainstream design work. We use Uber, we use YouTube, we use Twitter, and we're used to that. When you see that in a Quran app, you think, wow, this looks pretty good, pretty unique. And I think the design and the look of Qurani is a massive reason why people come back to Qurani, and the reason people download it, because they look at it and they think, wow, this looks really unique. Because, bro, I'll be honest with you, right? There has been no innovation in Quran apps for like 10 or 20 years. And a lot of people, subhanAllah, they get offended when I say this, right? But I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. But if you're going to make a Quran app, yeah, you can make a Quran app, but you're just doing the same thing as everybody else. You got the Quran, you got the audio, you're playing it. There's nothing different. Okay, you change the color of the theme of the buttons, fine. But what else is there? Like, have you made it so that they can change the format? Have you made it that it reminds them in a unique way? Have you made it that their goals they can change? Have you made it that it has other things like gems? Have you made it that it tracks their timing? Why don't these things exist? And some apps may have one or two features. Some app may have the total timing, right? Some may have the Hasanat counter, right? But it's not all brought together in one place. And you can go through. So we optimize all of that. And I think this is very important in the Muslim industry. Muslims, we need to start doing things where we do good innovation, halal innovation, right? Where we improve a product, we make it better, and we actually make them connect. There's no point making something and then just patting yourself on the back saying, I just did what everyone else was doing. You're not going to pat yourself on the back if you make a pizza at home, because everyone's making that. But if Muhammad makes a delicious tagine in his house, right, and he invites me, and I'll be like, wow, okay, that's different and special, right? It's really unique. I like that. So that's different. So there has to be like innovation. We have to use tools and technologies that can help us get closer to our deen. And even this revenue and the subscription of Qurani is helping us launch our other products that are going to come out soon, inshallah. And they will have the same principles that will help you become a better Muslim, right? And the stuff that you see in there will be so simple. And we know them in our deen, but you realize that no other app is doing these things. Like, it doesn't exist. Right, so it's exciting, inshallah. There's a lot more to come, inshallah.
You can't leave us like that, Aisa. You have to tell us some hints, some plans, something.
The listeners need to sign the NDA, don't they? That's the thing.
Muhammad, he kind of said it, even though he didn't know about it, right?
Oh,
but
no.
he said, I want an app. Oh, is it gone down again?
No.
Oh, sorry, I thought the connection went out. And
No.
Muhammad kind of said it. He said that, I want an app that can remind me of good deeds, right? And it's actually, we've been working on it. We've done, I think, maybe 300 hours of work on it, right? With at least a few people. And it's basically an app that helps you. I'm not going to give away the name and stuff now, right?
Cool.
Because the domain is quite expensive and it'll probably disappear if I mention it. But it's an app helps you improving your deen, right? And it's going to basically remind you of, for example, visit the graveyard. Like, how often does something on your phone tell you visit the graveyard because it reminds you of death? The Prophet said that you should visit the graveyard, or it reminds you on the benefits of visiting the masjid or praying Fajr in the masjid, or it tells you that, did you know if you prayed Jumu'ah in the masjid that you're under the protection of Allah? And it educates you as well. Or there'll be other stuff that will tell you, that the best salah is to pray Fajr in Jama'ah on a Friday in the masjid, right? So slowly over time, you'll say, you know what, I'm going to make it to the masjid if I can, because this is... So, these things, we forget about them. Why isn't it that on a Sunday night at 9 p.m., specifically, I'm choosing my words really carefully, at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night, it tells you, tomorrow's a sunnah fast. If you want to fast, prepare your suhoor, right? Because a lot of Muslims are fasting tomorrow. You're not going to do it, right? But next week, third week, fourth week, 1 month, 2 months, you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to fast tomorrow, right? And then slowly you see the beauty of fasting, the sunnah fast, right? And then on Wednesday night, it tells you that tomorrow's Thursday, remember to fast. And then it tells you, oh, by the way, did you know it's the 3 white days now because the moon is, fully white and it's bright. And the Prophet and the Sahaba used to fast these 3 days. And you say, you know what, let me try it out, right? So all these things, they don't exist in a database where it's like, all aspects of my deen I'm being reminded. For example, in the Hijjah, it's going to remind you with the emoji of a cow saying, if you got enough money, why don't you give a sacrifice for the sake of Allah, right? And you remember, yes, I need to do my zubiyah. And you're going to go on Muslim Hands or something, and you're going to purchase your animal. Sometimes we want to do it, but we just forget completely, right? It just slips your mind because there's so much. So when I sat down and we made the database of this, we realized, subhanAllah, there is so much in Islam that we just forget. And if we knew, we do it, right? And you realize, okay, what things are you supposed to do in a day? What are the things that you're supposed to do in a week? What are the things you're supposed to do in a month? What are the things you're supposed to do in certain months? And what are the things you're supposed to do in a year? And what are the things you're supposed to do in a lifetime? For example, Hajj. Now, before Hajj season, 4 months is going to give you a little ping. So if you've got enough money, or if you're saving up money, know that people are making their Hajj preparations now. And that could start a new cycle in your brain. Or it could tell you the benefits of Umrah, and you forget completely. And you're like, Yeah, I've got some cash in the bank. You know what? I want to go on Umrah, right? But it has to be, we have to be really careful with it, because you can't overwhelm people with too many reminders about everything. So we're working on that structure where it'll do a balance. It'll base it on the kind of person it is. When we know, okay, this is the person who goes masjid a lot, right? Then that person doesn't need that many masjid reminders. Do you understand? So we're looking at all of these things. But when that starts, inshallah, I think it'll be incredible. And that'll be coupled with the Dhikr app, right? This will all be together, inshallah. And the Dhikr app will be phenomenal. As in, we're going to get it designed with gamification and the artists and everything. So much so, when you're doing your Subhanallah wa bihamdi 100 times a day, you're seeing these ocean waves coming again and again behind you. And it said, at the end, it says the hadith of that. The Prophet said, if your sins were as much as the foam were in the ocean, they would be wiped out. And you have like a tick, and it says like sins forgiven, inshallah, right? And it's got the vibrations, and it's going to be incredible. And so much so that we've thought to such a level where if you can't do the subhanallah behind sitting down your phone, you're walking or you're driving, for example, there's an audio function there where you just press play and the reciter says subhanallah bihamdi, and you repeat after him like it's a guide, it's an audio guide. I do that right now, by the way. I've got it recited by this reciter in East London, this amazing brother. So I have subhanallah bihamdihi and la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir 100 times each, and I just play that in the morning, right, or at Fajr time, and I just listen and I repeat and I finish it. It's all about tools that will help you achieve these things that you always knew about and you wanted to do, but you could just never find the time for it. So we're working on all of those stuff, and like, for example, when you finish all the adhkar of the morning and your du'as, you have a sign of like a shield with a tick, and you protect it for the whole day, right? Because you finished all your adhkar. And that's another thing of gamification. You're like, wow, my shield is ticked. Or another day you see the shield is not ticked. It's like a cross. So it'll make you want to do more of it. So yeah, I'm not going to reveal too much, but this is the stuff that we can do because there's revenue from Qurani. I can put time into it, even though I work full time, obviously at IRA, but I can take out time. I can get people on this. I can get designers and developers on these projects, to work on them so that we can push out these projects that connect people to Allah and bring them closer to the Deen. That's the ultimate goal.
MashaAllah, may Allah accept it, bro. I was going to ask you what the future looks like, but you've really laid out a very, promising, hopeful future, inshallah. And so it's going to be like a kind of a family of apps that are all based on the same idea of getting us to do things that might be simple, exactly. But inshallah, and it, like you said earlier, I think it shows the mercy of Allah that there are so many gates to Jannah. There are so many ways to do good, and Allah hasn't limited reward to just one type of deed. There are hundreds of types of deeds.
And this is it with in terms of the subscription model. And anyone listening, if you are hesitant in committing to around about £5 a month, I believe it is. You might have gone more. I don't know. What was it, Asa, at the moment? Oh,
it's I think £4.49.
Okay, there we go. Think about it in terms of like the same way you donate to a masjid. If your intention's correct, you want to support the app. You're not just using the app for its benefit. You're also trying to support the app. Then you never know. With Allah's mercy, you could actually be that bonus hasanat that you're getting is actually for every single user, because technically you are facilitating the upgrading and the functioning and the bug fixing and all sorts of the application, and also expanding into other territories, as we've just mentioned, with the future of what the Qur'anly app family will look like. So to any listeners and users, I really recommend sticking to it and keeping that direct debit going, or whatever it is on the App Store going, because your share of the reward is phenomenal, really, with the amount of people that are going to be using it and the amount of people that are using it now. May Allah increase it for you, Isa. May Allah make it a success, because what my biggest satisfaction with all of this is that you haven't just made Qur'anly and stopped at a great idea. I think an innovative mind who can come up with something like this and execute it needs to continue coming up with groundbreaking ideas and continue to execute them, because we see, like you said, a lot of apps come and go, a lot of innovations, positive innovations in the deen and in the Muslim space. They come and they go, and those great minds don't persevere to make more things for the ummah. So it's really good to hear that you're continuing to push forward.
Jazakallah khair, and Jazakallah khair for giving this platform. This is actually the first podcast that I've had on the Qurani. But I really appreciate you guys, giving platforms to Muslims and businesses and causes to come via. So massive Jazakallah khair, guys.
Oh, yeah, cool. And you know what, as well, for another reason to kind of invest in this, if you like, is because like you, Isa, yeah, when you did your first ever app, yeah, although you did what computer science in uni, right? But you did your first ever app just recently. And what do you guys think Isa's going to be like when he's doing the third app and the fourth app, and he's doing the fourth iteration of the app? Like, Asa and the people what he's working with are only going to get better at this over time and with more experience. But if the projects that we're supporting initially, if they are only around for 1 year, they don't have the 10 years to get really good at it, and they don't have the resources or the time or the experience. But by the time that like you've been working on some like apps in general for years and years, you become better, you become faster, more efficient at making them. You become more able to use the latest technologies in phones, like whatever GPS sensors, this and that. And so that's what we want to do as well, is we want to have that long lasting effect where the experience gained doesn't go to waste because the project closes down. The project actually flourishes more and more over time, inshallah.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Jazakallah khair. May Allah accept it and allow us to follow that trajectory.
Ameen ya Rab. Okay, so Jazakallah khair for the time. I think we'll end it there. Of course, we'll put a link to get the app in the description. And anything else you want to say, Isa? Like, can you is it this Ramadan you're going to launch the new ones, or any approximate dates?
Yeah. So basically, with Qurani 2.0 now, inshallah, that's going to come out before Ramadan. That's our target, inshallah. And it's going to be out, and it's going to be incredible because we're going to have a content feature where we're going to have like these lessons and reminders, audio features on the Quran that you can listen to, and they're going to be done in a really interesting and unique way. So you're going to have all this, and if you want to listen to it while you're driving or when you're going to bed, you can listen to content based around the Quran, inshallah, and a few more features, inshallah. Some of them are surprises, some of them I've mentioned, but they're all going to be out, inshallah. And all the users who are paying for that, they don't pay anything extra. They just get that as part of their Qurani subscription, and that, inshallah, before this Ramadan. That's our target.
Inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah khair again, Isa, and may Allah put barakah in it and increase it, and really give everyone listening the opportunity to go and at least try it out. Like, because if you've not heard about Qur'anly, this is now an opportunity, where you can go and actually check it out if you haven't heard about it. And yeah, as usual, if you go to mindhousepodcast.com, you can send us your questions or comments or suggestions or anything like that. You can also contribute to the podcast over there. And yeah, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, shadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And thanks again, Isa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.